there's always going to be some part of your humanity that you have to release or heal or nurture. There's always going to be some part of your soul, your spirit that wants to be emerged, expressed, created. Grand day, grand evening, grand rising, wherever you happen in the world at this moment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in this room and giving a listen. Thank you for holding space for yourself to explore your inner creator connection, because that's the room we're in. While I'm doing my intro, I invite you to grab some paper or canvas or cardboard, or I'm going to be using my computer today. So if you're a digital artist, go ahead and get that ready. Grab your markers, your crayons, your scraps, your yarn, whatever your spirit is calling you to today. This is not only a space for conversation about the inner creator, it is an opportunity to express that inner creator. So go ahead and get yourself settled in while I'm introducing myself. My name is Anjulique, also known as Anjulique the artist. I'm an expressionist artist and spiritual life coach who has a particular passion for supporting young people with creating a life that they desire to live. I offer that divine service through youth workshops like my Time Team Self-Talk and Setting Boundaries workshop that explores the mind and energy through stories, activities, and discussions that include visual articulation. I also serve adults through my inner creator connection coaching, and that process is a more direct, detailed version of this room. And I actually had a beautiful moment today. I went to the bank, I ran some errands, and I didn't turn on any music or listen to a book or anything. And it's quite a long walk. It's about 3 hours of walking, and it was just nice to be in that stillness with myself. And that's kind of where I lead people to with that inner creator connection, is to really settling into that stillness and connecting with that stillness so that they can honor that connection that they have with their inner creator, because it's a powerful connection to be mindful of. And as adults, we can get so caught up in the external obligations and expectations that we begin relying more on the external than we do relying on ourselves, on our internal. So that coaching supports people who desire to reconnect, re-recognize their personal power so they can authentically create the next chapter of their life. So yeah, that's who I am, how I serve the world. Thank you for being on the stage, Joy Nettie. I'm really looking forward to your share. And I hope that this little introduction gave you all a bit of time to get settled with your creative materials so you can allow your subconscious to flow and express on the page or screen as we hop into the topic today, which is resistance, release. And before we get started, I ask God, Source, the Divine Spirit, to allow our hearts, our minds, our spirits to be held and loved in this space without judgment, to open us up to what we're meant to hear and share with one another as we serve through our shares. Ashe. So again, thank you for being on the stage, Joy Nettie. I'll kind of introduce the topic of resistance, release. And the reason I put it like that is because I feel like that's something that I've been really going through recently. The word resistance was coming up a lot for me these past couple weeks, really intensely. About a week or so ago, it was coming up in different content, different conversations, hearing it in like commercials and stuff. You feel me? And so I was like, I need to dive into this. I need to explore this. And as I began to kind of meditate on that, the word release also came up, because if you have that resistance, if you have the desire to subdue that resistance, you have to release it. You have to find what it is in your life that is producing that resistance and go through a process of release, whether that's a financial resistance, a relationship resistance, a self-image resistance. You have to have something that you are releasing. And the a butterfly effect room had a wonderful conversation about um, The Dark Night of the Soul, and that was powerful. Um, and definitely go listen to that replay. I won't get too deep into it, but that's a process where you have to go through some very intense release because there is very intense resistance that you're facing. So that's really what my intention was with setting this room, and why I opened it and stated it that way, because it is a two-part sort of process, situation. And specifically, something that I wanted to touch on today before I pass over to Joynetti. Um, I had a lot of financial resistance. And it wasn't until I released this idea that financial management is hard, or for nerds, or um, something that restricts you. I had to release those different ideas around financial management and budgeting and just financial awareness, because I did not grow up being taught to be fully financially aware. It was more of a um, fear, like financial fear, like go out, make your money, work as hard as you can, get your money, and then hold on to it as tight as you can. But there was no like structure. There was no real like management that was given to me. So I had a lot of financial resistance. And it wasn't until I got with Jay from Jay Got Soul. Um, she is a financial consultant, and she has this budget sheet that really helped me to um, see what my money was doing. And really, our conversations, more than anything, supported me with making that shift, releasing that resistance. But that's really what was coming up for me today. Joy Nettie, I'm going to pass on over to you. Thank you for being here. What would you like to share about resistance, release?
Hey, Anjulique, thank you so much for holding this space. I think this is a great topic. And I also want to give my gratitude and thank you for you supporting my room yesterday with the meditation. So I very much appreciate that. I think with this topic, I would like to say releasing fear and having that resistance against fear. Um, you know, for a very long time of my life and my journey, I struggled with anxiety and just living in a fear based home and growing up in fear. Just it kind of followed me right on into my adult life, or didn't kind of, it did. And I just didn't know why I was afraid of everything. And I couldn't release that. I was afraid to just do anything, step out of my box, spend money. I know you mentioned, finances and things like that. I've struggled with that as well. And just it just has been a part of my life that I really had to focus on. But I definitely had resistance to releasing it. I guess I had more fear of the release of even releasing the fear, if that makes sense. um, but yes, as I journey now, and I've done a lot of um, inner healing and inner work and learning and finding out who I am on a soul level. And I had someone reach out to me, and she was explaining to me about my root chakra and things like this. This was before I was really into the chakras, and learning my inner powers and things like that. And she's like, I think that's something you really have to work on. And what I did was I started this beautiful rabbit hole, and I just kind of went down the whole rabbit hole. I needed to do inner child healing. I had to get to the root of it, really, like from a child, the abuse, the trauma. I had to look at all of the dark stuff that I buried, all of the things that I didn't want to go back and revisit. I had to go into those things, and that is not an easy journey. People that think the healing journey is just a 1 day process, overnight thing, it really is not. It's a forever, lifetime thing while we are here journeying. And I'm just grateful that it did. it did happen. And I'm continuing my journey. That's something that I work on daily, every day. But yeah, that resistance is real, you know. And I think also resistance kind of builds up of the, well, I know for sure for me, it was the unknown of not knowing, you know, how is this going to work? How's this going to turn out? Is this going to be this way? Or, you know, well, if I have this amount of money, how can I go get this and then do this? And, you know, like that driving yourself crazy of not knowing. Um, so, yeah, I think it's just, man, when they say the warriors of the light, we are truly the warriors of the light because this is not for the weak. The healing journey is serious, you know, but not to be um, trying to make anyone scared of healing. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey because, you know, when you come out of that mud, you're just going to blossom like that lotus flower, right? So, yeah, but that's kind of really where I stand with resistance. It definitely was that fear, resisting to release that fear. But now, every day, I try to make sure if I get into that energy and I feel myself getting nervous about something, I'm like, nope. I'm going outside. I got to go ground. I got to go put my feet in the grass. I got to release this. I got to let it go. But yeah, so that's kind of what I kind of what came to me. Thank you.
Yes, I love that. Um, and I really want to congratulate and celebrate you for raising your awareness and knowing the power of grounding. Um, because that's a beautiful way to release. Often we feel like on this healing journey, um, or I mean, I guess not if you're on the healing journey, depending on where you are, because we're all on different levels. But I know some people are not very into nature. And so they might disregard the putting your feet in the grass, the placing your palms on a tree or on a stone, or going out and hanging out with the flowers, you know, allowing nature to filter that energy in partnership with you. Some people tend to overlook that or dismiss that because it seems like, why would I do that? But um, something beautiful about plants and life is that they recycle our air. They create the oxygen that we breathe. So, in tune with that, they also have the capacity to transmute our energy and just really take that on, because that's the beautiful symbiotic relationship that we have that we've all honestly been disconnected from through, you know, colonialization and industrialization and all of that type of stuff. But I feel like more people, as I said, as we get on this healing journey and we take these different steps, we start to see the power and impact that that really has. Like you said, now when you're feeling those feelings, you know, I need to go out and ground, get some sunlight, hug a tree, do something with nature to filter that energy out. So I want to celebrate you for that because that's a powerful awareness. And it does take time to get there. This is a journey, a forever journey, as you mentioned. And I think a lot of people can be resistant about even starting the healing journey or even like continuing it if they do start it because it's like it is this lifelong relationship that you have with yourself, this lifelong healing. You know, there's always going to be some part of your humanity that you have to release or heal or nurture. There's always going to be some part of your soul, your spirit that wants to be um, emerged, expressed, created. So there's always going to be something. As long as you're here on this life plane called Earth, or the universe called awareness, consciousness, I should say, because you know we're traveling out of the planet these days. So I want to be mindful of that. But no matter where you are in this universe, if you are aware, if you are conscious, living, um, there is something that you're gonna have to address, to heal, to evolve. And I've learned to really appreciate that and really fall in love with that. Um, as a young person, I was very much into the science things. Um, and so I take my healing journey very scientifically. It started more as a psychological journey for me, and just kind of understanding, my own mind and my actions and my responses, and when my the nervous system is going into sympathetic or parasympathetic, and just kind of being aware of what my responses are and like what feels good to my body and those different types of things. So it's very scientific, and then it took a very spiritual shift um, as I began on the more meditation, um, universal laws, like energy aspect. It took on a more spiritual sense because I had some very intense moments where um, God, source, the divine, and I were just me and them. And I realized that it was something larger than me. It was something outside of me, but I could still sense it inside of me. I could still sense it around me. I could still, see it in the nature, see it in other people. And I was like, this is expansive. This is expansive. And I started to explore that more. And I found that the benefits of it were really, really impactful and incredible with creating a life that I enjoy living. And I'm just grateful that I had those moments and raised my awareness. Um, so yeah, I just felt like that was a beautiful reminder that this is a forever journey, and there's always going to be something more because that spirit, that source, the divine is the creator, and there's so much in this universe that has been created. There's so much within us that is created that we haven't tapped into yet. Um, that we can explore. And something else that you mentioned, excuse me, something else that you mentioned was um, the not knowing, the fear of the unknown, bringing up a lot of that resistance. Um, and I get that. Have some sort of structure or desire some sort of structure or system so we can predict, so we can feel safe. Even if you are somebody who's into thrills or chaos or, spontaneity, any of those varieties of surprise, um, there's still things in your life that you kind of expect to go according to plan. Like you have a certain idea of what life is and the ways that you can have those spontaneous moments. But when you're um, going through life and you're intentional about moving forward, and you kind of set a plan and things start going in a different way, and you're like, I don't know what's happening here, it gets scary. Or if you are somebody who was just running off of a pattern, and that pattern was not actually benefiting you, it's just something that you're running off of. When those unknown moments come to you and disrupt that pattern, that's even more intense and scary because you already don't really have an idea of where you're going. You're just kind of moving, and now this pattern that you're moving in is being disrupted. So you're like, okay, what in the world? So that resistance comes up. And I just really love that you brought that up because the fear in itself um, brings up a lot of that resistance. But when we learn to allow the unknown to unfold, when we trust that we have a inner guidance, that there is a purpose for our lives, we can release that fear because we can begin to understand that we don't have control. We have our intentions, we have our desires, we have our um, habits, you feel me, that we move in, but we don't really know what's going to happen. We can't really know what's going to happen because we did not create ourselves. We are unfolding ourselves in this human life. So, yeah, those are two things that I really appreciate you tapping on, because that unfolding and that unknown is a part of the forever journey. You're gonna forever be experiencing things that you don't know. You're gonna be forever experiencing um, something new. And if you allow yourself again to be open, it really does bring um, a sense of peace with the unknown, and you can release that resistance. Um, and I also wrote down here that you were talking about getting to the root, and that's a really powerful way to facilitate that release. Because when you have the understanding of where things come from, again, with my science mind, when you get to the source of something, you can create a real solution. But if you're just hovering around on the outskirts of it, you're just patching and band-aiding. Um, and just kind of covering it for the moment, but you're not really getting to the root of the problem to find a real solution. So when we do that inner child work, when we do that self work, that self discovery, it allows us to blossom like that lotus flower that you talked about, um, and to keep that expansion open and to grow into something new and beautiful, because we understand, like, oh, when I was a child, the root of my life, this was my experience. And that's why I'm doing this and why I keep getting these results. That's why I have this fear of this thing. That's why I have resistance towards this thing. And when you understand, oh, that's why I have resistance, but now I am an adult and now I can make independent actions. Now I can choose different things. It releases because you have that awareness. So yeah, those are the things that you touched on that I felt were really powerful. Um and yeah, I also wanted to talk about real fast. Well, I just wanted to see first if you had anything else you wanted to add, because I had one like last little point before I wrapped up, but I wanted to see if you had anything else to share, Joy.
Oh, I just want to say thank you to bringing that awareness to nature, because I am a nature girl. I love to be out in the nature. And it's so funny. I wanted to bring that back up because, well, I know all about alignment now, so I know this was definitely aligned. But I was out this morning doing my walk, and I like to meditate when I walk. That's when I really connect with nature, and I talk to the trees and I touch the leaves. And sometimes I look at the leaves and they're waving at me. And, a lot of people think I'm crazy, but that's okay. um, I know what I'm connecting with. But the thought I had while I was walking was, wow, I'm so grateful to have this awareness, right? Because I can remember the days where I wouldn't even acknowledge nature. If something wasn't moving around and talking like me, I didn't pay it any mind. It was just like whatever, it's not even there. And now, I mean, my gosh, if I see someone cutting down the trees, it affects me in such a way. It's like, oh my gosh, like, are you killing one of my family members right now? Like, it's so, I'm so connected with birds, and nature all around. I just love nature. So I'm just so happy that you brought that back up, because it's so true. A lot of people don't like to go put their feet out in the grass and in the dirt and dance around and just be present and soak that all up. So I love that you brought it up, because I was just meditating about that earlier. I was like, I'm so thankful to be aware about this. So yeah, that was beautiful. And thank you for just having this conversation, because conversations like this just raises the awareness and allows others to kind of if they're not aware or they're not kind of sure of what they're trying to experience, it gives them that little spark, that little spark of that, okay, this is something I want to tap into, because like you said, some people start the healing journey and it's a lot. It's pretty rough, especially if we've experienced a lot of trauma in our lives. So I know all about those dark days where it's kind of like, okay, I had enough. um, but um, but I also know, this is allowing, this is something that I choose for myself, and then I'm allowing my soul to grow. So I'm okay with the pivots in life and the resilience, and then that resistance comes in again, and it's like, all right, but I don't want to feel this again, and it's like, yeah, you kind of have to. We're growing. So, but yeah, I love the topic, and I'm just grateful and thankful that you're doing this because it definitely helps raise the vibration. We're all co-creating to heal, and when we heal ourselves, we can help heal others. So, thank you so much for this beautiful space.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, and I'm grateful for this clubhouse space where we can come on and just kind of talk to each other about whatever, and it can be like an open conversation. Um, because there weren't a lot of spaces like that prior to this. You had to like, do all the social media stuff, and then it's like all over everything, and then everybody can like just give their unwarranted opinions. So I'm definitely grateful for this space. I'm glad you hopped on today. And as far as that awareness and being grateful for that awareness, I certainly feel that. Um, because something that came up for me during this, and this is kind of not so much in what I was going to close out with, but I want to talk about it. Um, that lack of awareness comes from a certain resistance, also. Um, that lack of connection with nature and that awareness of our connection with nature comes from a resistance, also. It's sewn into our culture, especially in Black culture with Black women. Um, we're so like concerned about our looks or our hair or our shoes or our toes or our nails or whatever, and we feel like that is beneath us or like not meant for us. We've been so urbanized that we're used to the concrete and the shoes. I was gonna say the soles of the shoes, but the shoes in general. We're so accustomed to that. If anything outside of that feels uncomfortable, anything about connecting with nature draws up those ideas of like a poor person in Africa or a slave for a lot of people. And we want to be so disconnected from that identity that we are disconnecting from our true power with nature, with the ability to connect with nature and communicate with nature. And that's a whole other topic. But I love that you brought that up because there are millions, and I would say at least a couple billion of people on the planet who are walking around resisting their connection with nature because they have resistance against other social ideas. So I just love that you brought that up. And what I want to talk about to close out was, um, again, that rhythm of resistance and release. Something that came up for me when I was thinking about this topic was the universal law of rhythm, how everything moves at a certain tempo, how everything has a season. And sometimes you're in the season of resistance. Sometimes you're in a season of resistance, and unless you acknowledge that, unless you do that work and you process that season, you won't get to that release, right? So, like, bringing it to a natural example, um, in the spring, you're planting your seeds, and then you have to do all the work to till and de-weed and water and nurture and all of these things. And then you get to fall and there's the harvest. And that's like the release. And you get all the fruits and the veggies and the herbs and all of these things that you can really enjoy, even like in late summer, depending on what you're harvesting, planting, whatever. But you have that season where you are having to do some really challenging work because there are some seeds, there are some weeds, there are some situations that are going on that need your attention that you need to address. And unless you're actively doing that work, you won't see the bountiful harvest. You won't see that release. You'll be stuck um, with a plain garden with just dirt and wondering why there's nothing growing in it, and why you're not eating and enjoying the fruits that a lot of other people get to enjoy when they go through that process. But yeah, that was kind of my closing thought. Did you have anything you wanted to say on that, Joy Nettie, before I wrapped up the room?
No, I definitely agree with you, you know. So yeah, no, I don't think I have a closing remark. I just also just want to give my gratitude to you. I really appreciate you doing this. You know, this is really I love to see the communities that we are in grow, and I love to see everybody grow in their own individual, unique way, right? So I just really want to applaud you for showing up, having the conversation, bringing the awareness. All of that means so much to me. I love it. And I just want to give you some flowers for that because everyone's not able to step into this, so I'm just very appreciative, so I'm just soaking it all up. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome, and thank you for your acknowledgement. That always feels nice. And I too am proud of the people opening these spaces and having these conversations. Um, there was a time when I felt like everyone that I knew, and I would just say the world, I felt like the world was a very dark place. I felt like there was nothing going on. It was kind of just the same drama over and over again. And um, I just was like very uninspired and not excited for life. And this was like me in high school and college. I just felt like the world was like a very boring place and there was nothing going on. But since I've stepped on this self development journey in 2017, 2018, I've come to realize that there are so many beautiful souls out in the world doing this work and helping people heal and just elevating the planet. And I'm so grateful that I tapped in, tuned in, and get the opportunity to contribute as well. So thank you for that acknowledgement, and also thank you for holding the spaces that you do. Again, that Reiki session, meditation yesterday really, um, I supported me. I really don't know what else to say. Um, it really just was what I needed at that moment in that time. So I just thank you for holding that space. And I look forward to being more a part of your rooms. If you're listening to this replay, you can let me know what your thoughts are by hitting me up on ADC underscore life coaching on Instagram and Facebook. I got a Facebook page, y'all. Figured it out. So it's not the Integrated Connections paid group anymore. It's the ADC Life Coaching page. Learning my social media lingo. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. You can also hit me on Threads at the same handle and on TikTok at the same handle. But other than that, I hope that you gathered something that you can take with you today to increase that awareness that you have connection to your inner creator, that you have connection to nature, that you can commune with nature and release anything that isn't serving you, and nature will gladly take it. She will hold you warmly and kindly with generosity. So take as much time outside as you need to. Go put your feet on the dirt, in the grass. Go lay your hands on a stone or a tree and just ask it to take away whatever resistance that you're experiencing. You will be amazed. You will be amazed at the relief it brings. But yeah, that was our conversation today. Thank you so much, Joy Nettie, for joining and enriching this experience today. And other than that, have a beautiful, wonderful, spectacular, magical day, everyone.